Welcome back. Arkham Asylum is the most creepy Arkham game by a long way. The very island reeks of horror, so join me as we take a look at 13 disturbing facts about Batman Arkham Asylum that you might not have known. Fact number 1 takes us to the Botanical Gardens, where we can find a statue of Constance Arkham, the wife of the founder, Amadeus. This statue is missing its head and has Mad Dog scratched into the name plaque. This is a direct reference to the classic Batman story Arkham Asylum, a serious house on serious Earth, where a criminal called Martin Mad Dog Hawkins killed Amadeus' wife and child with his daughter being decapitated. This statue stands as both a reminder of his wife's death, but also how his daughter met her end, and the inscription on the plaque just ties it all together in a tragic display of brutality. In the main game, while following a lead to Dr. Penelope Young's office regarding the Titan formula notes, you might notice some rats in the vent you used to get into her office. Well, have you ever looked at them properly? If you have, you might notice that one rat is slightly bigger and more decrepit than the other, and if we head just before the vent ends, we can find a bottle of what was presumably an early form of Titan. Putting 2 and 2 together gives us 4, and we can deduce these rats, or at least one of them, ingested, forcefully or willingly, some early strain of the Titan formula and met a grisly fate in this very vent. The Lunatics, everyone's least favourite enemy type, but a staple of Arkham Asylum and its gameplay. Well, have you ever wondered what happened to them following the Joker's Island takeover? Well, after most of the inmates were locked up, the Lunatics met one of 2 grisly ends. The first was being used by Hugo Strange as experiment fodder, something we can see the aftermath of in Arkham City's Wonder Avenue. And the second fate they met was being shipped off to Penguin like cattle and used as target practice for his men. This is one of the saddest endings for any group in the Arkhamverse, because we have to remember, although they were insane, they were people. People who'd been abandoned by the system and given over to 2 of the most brutal people in the city as fodder. This is less of a fact and more of a pair of little quirks regarding the island, which I just think add to the overall creepiness of it. The first being that rainfall on the island is incredibly inconsistent. If we stand in the medical facility, we can see it's raining outside. However, when we head out onto the island, nothing. It's barren. I think it's fair to say we all know the real reason, technical limitations of the time, and this would be changed for the 2016 Return to Arkham remasters. But something about this kind of works for Arkham. It feels supernatural to the utmost degree, so having this weird, inconsistent rainfall combined with the barren, almost lifeless weather outside just adds to that feel. Arkham shouldn't feel like it's connected to our world, and this solidifies that feeling. It feels like a whole new world, something driven home by the other little quirk. This one is really silly, nitpicky, but also kind of creepy and cool. That is that the entire island rearranges itself after Batman drives in right at the start. If we look at the opening cutscene of the game, we can see a long road straight into Arkham, which makes sense. We can kind of see this in-game. But after that, it all goes to pot. Seriously, look at the game map, now look at this map. Not even close. The biggest tell of this is the fact we know the Batmobile was parked outside of intensive treatment. We see it in the background of the opening and obviously save it from the thugs attacking it later on. However, in the opening scene, Batman drives the Batmobile down the road, which leads to the grounds connecting Arkham Mansion and the gardens, which isn't possible due to there being no roads which lead from mainland Gotham to this part of the island. So somehow the entire island switches around while Batman is dealing with Joker in intensive treatment. There's also a few smaller quirks I'm sure you can see here, but that's the big one. Now obviously this was done so you get the iconic shot of the island in the opening, but also I think this is really cool and kind of creepy. Arkham definitely takes on a life of its own during this game, and I think these 2 little quirks, definitely the latter, really add to this. While traversing the Botanical Gardens, you can find yourself in the Abandoned Chamber, and although this room is packed with enough atmosphere to get an entry all by itself, something more disturbing can be seen if you head to the top of this waterfall. One of Joker's men will drop from the sewer pipe, and if we examine him, we can see that he's a failed Titan victim, having a malformed arm and face. He obviously didn't react well to the change and must have been one of the preludes to the pair of Titan thugs we fight in the secret labs later on. Not only did Joker pump this guy full of drugs, he then literally treated him like crap and flushed him down a drain pipe, which is both kind of funny but mostly really harrowing. In intensive treatment, while heading down this elevator shaft, you can head through a vent and find Jonathan Crane, aka Scarecrow's makeshift lair. In here, we can find a few photos of Batman from the start of the game as he brings Joker into the asylum, a blueprint of intensive treatment, fear gas canisters, and the mushrooms he uses to create the gas. Scanning this will also solve a riddle, which is always a nice bonus. Following our trip into the bowels of the intensive treatment building, you might spot this, Killer Croc's weekly menu, and well, it's an interesting read. On Monday he gets offal, which is essentially butchered animal organs, then on Tuesday he gets intestine, how nutritious, and then on Wednesday tripe, which is the stomach lining of farm animals, usually cows. Thursday's meal is leftovers, Friday and Saturday are either undecided or he isn't getting anything, and if the latter is true it makes the final meal of the week, Sundays, particularly cruel, as what I can only imagine is a joke by Aaron Cash, they're feeding him crocodile. Now this is both extremely funny and also really messed up. Imagine starving for 2 days and then being given a meal only to find out it's human flesh. Yeah, that's what my beloved Killer Croc goes through here, and for his sake and the guards, I hope he did get fed on Friday and Saturday. What is a moth if not a killer? Well, did you know Killer Moth actually has not only been in Arkham Asylum, but killed someone here? That's right, if you head into the botanical gardens just outside the secret garden lab, you can find this poor fella all wrapped up and stuck to the ceiling. A clear showing of dominance by the most dangerous rogue in the Bat's ever-expanding gallery of baddies. Batman is Bruce Wayne. This fact was sent to me by Lex, who you can ridicule in the Discord free of charge. The link is down below, and if you happen to join, let us know Lex's Elite Ball knowledge sent you. During the early portion of the game, while tracking Officer Balls's whiskey trail to the elevator Harley kindly drops on you, if you take a small detour to the right hand side of this little room and stand by this phone, you can hear Joker toying with the victim of his takeover's wife.
Hello? What's happening there? I'm trying to contact Steve. Is he there?
Hold 1 second. I'll see if I can find him.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. I've looked everywhere, but I can only find his head. I'll get back to you when I find the rest of him.
This short and sweet phone call is kind of funny in a really twisted way, of course, and I do not condone chopping people up. Anyway, before I dig this hole any deeper, let's move on to the next fact. While exploring the penitentiary, you can find and obtain the interview tapes of one Victor Zsasz. These tapes recall the story of how Zsasz became who he is now, his views on humanity, and well, I'll let you listen because it's pretty insane.
Taped patient evaluation 1. Patient name is Victor Zsasz. Diagnosed clinically insane after the murder of at least 20 women in the Gotham area. Hello, Victor. I'm Dr. Cassidy. Seeing as this is our first session, let's spend some time getting to know each other.
I don't need to know you, Miss Cassidy. Everything is meaningless.
Don't you think that's a very negative outlook on life, Victor?
You've no doubt read my file.
Yes, I have. It says you come from a wealthy family, that your parents died, how you lost all the money gambling.
And none of it matters.
Why do you keep saying that, Victor?
Because the only thing that does matter is the mark. Have you seen my work, Miss Cassidy?
If you're referring to the marks on your...
Of course I mean my tally marks. And I have a space for yours. Do you want to see where?
Taped patient evaluation 5. Victor is not responding well to treatment. Victor, yesterday we spoke about the people you killed.
Ah, the zombies.
They are all people, Victor.
They are zombies. Continuously shuffling through the daily grind, waiting for someone to liberate them.
You mean kill them? The police report states that you've murdered, or liberated if you like, 20 young women in the last 3 months. Each had her throat slit and was left posed.
They were all lucky to be chosen to receive my gift.
I doubt they would agree with you.
Really? How about you, Miss Cassidy? As you take the elevator to your apartment each night, open the 6 locks to apartment 433. Remember you forgot to buy your cat food. Again,
How do you know
as
where
you sit down on your favorite red chair, cat on lap, just waiting for something to happen. I can make it happen, Sarah. I am your salvation.
Patient's name is Victor Saz. For the record, the patient has transferred from Dr. Cassidy, who is on leave after the incident last week. Hello, Victor. Please, take a seat. Guards, you can leave us.
Sorry, Doctor. Warden's orders. I can't leave you alone with him.
I understand. Hello, Victor. How are you feeling today? Victor, I can't help you if you don't speak.
Depressed. Does that help you? Can you get into my mind, Doctor?
Why depressed?
I'm just thinking about the one that got away. The one I chose. I needed the mark. I want the mark!
Victor has been more subdued recently. Response to medication has been poor.
Cutting.
Hello, Victor. Is there anything you'd like to talk about today? Victor! This is going nowhere. Guards! Get him out of here!
You heard the doctor. Get out. Didn't you hear me?
He's got a knife! Ah! Get a trike in him! Get a trike in him! Oh, God! He's on Bill!
He's cutting him. Get him off. Get him off. We need help here.
Victor has been in isolation since the attack on Zagar last week. As I wait for him to be brought up to me, I have had time to review his notes. I am increasingly worried he cannot be cured. He has no empathy for his victims. Deep down, I believe he views all of us as potential victims.
Doc, are you okay?
What's happening?
It's Zaz. He broke out of isolation. He's gone.
Oh, God!
Don't worry, Doc. You're in the safest place. He's definitely left the island.
Of course. But someone needs to alert the authorities. He'll need to kill again. Do you understand me? Needs to. Oh, no. He's gone after Dr. Cassidy.
Hello?
Sarah, it's Gretchen. Listen to me.
Hold on, there's someone at the door.
Sarah, do not answer the door. Can you hear me? Do not answer the door. It's Zaz. He's free.
So yeah, Zaz went after Dr. Cassidy, but don't you worry, dear viewer, Dr. Cassidy was saved by Batman in the Road to Arkham comic, just before Victor made another mark in his skin. This is what I only noticed recently, but in the Arkham graveyard there are only 2 opened graves. Amadeus Arkham's, the island's founder, and one other towards the back of the graveyard. A few theories have popped up regarding who this might be. After all, it does seem weird that one open grave would be arguably the most important person in the island's history, presumably defaced by inmates, or Quincy Sharp, and the other grave be nobody, right? Well, one theory from Reddit suggests that this might be Amadeus' nephew, Jeremiah Arkham, given the shape of the skull and how he's drawn in the comics. I personally like this theory, but I'd be interested to hear who you guys think is buried here. Maybe it's Constance Arkham, Elizabeth Arkham, Amadeus' mother. The possibilities aren't quite endless, and this could all just be a big nothing burger, but it's fun to speculate. Anyway, let's move on to some more Amadeus-related lore, shall we? If we head into the rafters of Arkham Mansion, we can find a curious looking cell. This cell once held Amadeus Arkham after his spiral into madness. This spiral began after he would eventually kill his family's murderer, Mad Dog Hawkins, and rule it as an accident, and this would eventually lead to Amadeus becoming an inmate in his own asylum, where he'd eventually die. The symbols which are scrawled all over the cell are a mystery, the drawings of a madman. However, within the source material, and it's dealing with themes of insanity, rebirth and life, and the never-ending cycle of madness that haunts Arkham's halls, I think these circles are symbolic of those same themes. Rebirth, the cycle of madness, it all makes sense, and I think given the respect the game shows to stories like A Serious House and Living Hell, this adds up pretty nicely. And for our final fact, this is a little 2-for-1, but throughout the events of the Arkham series, the warden of Arkham Asylum, Quincy Sharp, was actually being drugged and mind-controlled by none other than Professor Hugo Strange. To get the warden fully under control, Strange enlisted someone who specialised in breaking minds, Jervis Tetch, better known as the Mad Hatter. Strange told Tetch to pay Sharp a visit and use his knack for mind control to make him more compliant. Knowing Tetch's obsession with Alice in Wonderland and his need to find his Alice, Strange sweetened the deal by supplying him with a new victim. A pretty horrifying trade, but one that worked perfectly. Over the next 3 years, Strange continued his little experiment, dosing Sharp with Tetch's hallucinogens, while applying his own psychological manipulation. Slowly, Sharp became less of a man and more of a puppet. However, Gotham thought he was still the proud warden of Arkham, and later a promising political candidate ready to save the city. But in reality, Strange was the one calling the shots from behind the scenes. His first major play was pushing Sharp to run for mayor. If he won, Strange wouldn't just control Arkham Asylum, he'd get something even better. His shot at a new kind of prison funded by forces beyond our comprehension, Arkham City. And if you want a deeper dive into Strange, Hatter or Sharp, check out the lore video playlist where we do a deep dive into each of these characters individually. And with that, we reach the end of the video. I hope you learned something new. This was so fun to make because it isn't my usual style of content, and if you want to see more of this, we're pushing for 20k subs before the end of the year. It's an insane ask, but if you like Arkham, Batman and superhero content in general, that's what we do here, with everything from videos like this to more chilled out videos. So if you like what you see, consider hitting that subscribe button and leaving a like, and with that being said, stay safe out there in the asylum, and remember, there's always a place for you here. Goodbye.